Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this episode of What's the Buzz? I'm Chris Frew, founder of BioBuzz. Excited to be joined today by Eddie Pauline, CEO of Ohio Life Sciences. Eddie, welcome.
Chris, how you doing? Happy to be here. Appreciate the opportunity to chat today.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'm excited to talk with you. I hear a lot of things buzzing in Ohio, so I'm excited to dive in and lift up the hood, so to speak.
Good. I'm ready.
Before we begin, they take care of some housekeeping as we get started here. First and foremost, happy Halloween to everybody. Didn't wear a mask today or a costume, but I want to wish everybody happy Halloween. What's the Buzz is our opportunity to talk to ecosystem builders and people who are really working and go to work every day to help build the life science innovation ecosystem. Getting a product to market it's a team effort. And we like to celebrate all the people, whether you're an investor, site head, CEO of a trade organization. We like to really make sure we give a voice to the people that are building up this industry, which has such a big impact on all of our lives. And our program, every program is sponsored by CRB. CRB is actually the actual physical real ecosystem builder. So they're a life sciences, architecture and engineering and construction firm specializing just in the life sciences. So it's a good shot if you're driving down the highway and you see a life science manufacturing building. It's a good shot that they probably had a hand in that in some way. So I appreciate them, and we want to thank them for all they do to literally build the ecosystem that we develop and produce these medicines in. So thank you to our sponsor, CRB. So Eddie, let's dive in. Can you take a minute and just give us an introduction? Tell us a little bit about your organization.
Sure. Well, again, Chris, appreciate the opportunity. So the Ohio Life Sciences Association is the state bio here in Ohio, representing everything from pharmaceutical companies, medtech, digital health, any organization that's part of what we call the patient value chain. So we've got about 4,900 unique life science establishments peppered throughout Ohio. Obviously, most of the concentration is in our three largest cities, Cleveland, Columbus, and Cincinnati, sort of along that I-71 corridor. A lot of sort of restructuring and transformation of the organization over the last couple of years. We've got a new brand in Ohio Life Sciences. We used to be called something called BioOhio. Prior to that, the Edison Biotechnology Center. So Ohio's got a long history, probably a 4-decade history of investing in one way or another in building out this ecosystem. I think we're at a place now where we're finally realizing some of the return on those historic investments, and are in a place where we're sort of on the cusp of really cementing ourselves as a hub in the U.S.
It's said a lot that these hubs are generational, right? It takes a generation or two to really establish it. So that early investment seems like such an important catalyst to actually getting to where you are today, where you can kind of almost formalize and build more structure into it. So could you tell us a little bit about what is some of the existing infrastructure? Like what is some of the main companies and the main kind of industries that Ohio Life Sciences is really building?
Yeah. I mean, I think the best way to capture that is kind of talking about the fact that we do in Ohio truly represent the whole end-to-end value chain. So if you think about that, we've got our leading research institutions, Cleveland Clinic, Ohio State, Battelle, Cincinnati Children's Hospital, others, Case, again, along that I-71 corridor that really have been leading in the innovation and discovery of new life-saving treatments, devices for many years. We've got the companies in place that help those institutions validate that new technology. MedPace, CTI, Charles River, NAMSA, large presence here in Ohio. We've got the companies that are manufacturing that new life-saving technology. We've got companies that are scaling that now, Amgen, Hikma, et cetera. And then we also are leaders in the life science related distribution of that new technology. DHL Life Sciences, Cardinal Health, McKesson, Cencora all have a healthy amount of infrastructure here. And then, of course, all that going back to our great healthcare institutions for the delivery of that new innovation into the body of a patient. So it opens up a unique opportunity for Ohio to present itself as a place where you have a lot of ways to access the ecosystem. I will say we probably have a little bit of a barbell issue right now where we're real strong in the discovery of new life-saving treatments at our institutions, and we're real strong with the distribution of it. We have some room to grow in sort of that middle part, particularly around the manufacturing and scaling. So we're actively working on recruiting research and development oriented companies, expansions. We want to make sure we've got the right environment in Ohio to ensure that new tech coming out of our institutions, we have a sticky enough ecosystem where they don't have to run to the coast to raise money, find people, or find space. We've got some horror stories about exciting technology, chasing those types of things on the coast and becoming very healthy, robust companies in other markets with Ohio IP. So we're trying to work real hard to ensure that Ohio is seen as a place where you can grow, discover your new innovation and grow it successfully here into a going concern.
Having that whole value chain there sounds like a tremendous value asset for growing and for accomplishing that vision. How important is the role of being the connecting that whole value chain and collaboration and establishing collaboration? And I think you could maybe even talk about that too. Like you've got a corridor, right? So you've got a couple hubs. How important is that collaboration as well?
Yeah, I think it's the ecosystem development can be challenging, and then on top of that, the collaboration piece can be challenges. There's a little bit of competitive nature sometimes between the institutions in these markets. The markets themselves are competitive, so it can be a little complicated. One thing that we've done to sort of encourage more intentional collaboration is through a partnership with Jobs Ohio, which is our private economic development entity in the state. We've developed a new brand called the Ohio Discovery Corridor. So it's basically taking the assets and capabilities in Cleveland, Columbus, and Cincinnati, which are all along the I-71 corridor, hour and a half, 2 hours away from one another. And again, just being a little bit more intentional when we go to market across the country, saying like, if you come to Ohio, you will have easy access to these world-renowned brands and institutions in a pretty efficient way. It helps us compete with other regional hubs. They've been doing this for a long time, and again, makes us a little bit more attractive when you start talking about the whether it's research dollars, the amount of talent, other types of infrastructure along that I-71 corridor. So within the corridor, of course, are three new health and life science themed innovation districts. Jobs Ohio, again, shout out to them in terms of the amount of money that they've been able to invest directly into this industry. A couple of years ago, invested $100 million as sort of seed money in three innovation districts in Cleveland, Columbus, and Cincinnati. Those innovation districts are anchored by Cleveland, places like Case, UH, Cleveland Clinic, Columbus, Nationwide Children's Hospital in Ohio State, and Cincinnati, UC, and Cincinnati Children's. Those institutions have made further investments in their innovation districts. Here in Columbus, we've got our offices here. We created an Ohio Life Sciences Industry Hub. We're right across the way from Polytechnic Research Center, which is a 350,000 square foot lab. Across the parking lot is Andelin Biosciences. So these innovation districts have become hubs of activity. There's a lot of collisions happening between entrepreneurs and researchers. Investors are coming into these innovation districts and sort of seeing and feeling what these assets and capabilities really are. So tying all of that activity together in the brand of the Ohio Discovery Corridor has been a real asset as we've gone out to recruit new opportunities to the state.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of biopharma investment coming in, in the U.S., announced and unannounced, and
Yes.
so I think we're seeing that in other states as well. Like a unified message does a lot better job to attract some of these companies than these competing districts or competing counties. And we see that in Maryland too, right? We have kind of like a triangle. We got Baltimore, Frederick, Montgomery County. So
Yep.
we see it, and you mentioned it can be competitive, but I think we're seeing that the states that are winning are branding as a state and showing that there's a unified message and you're getting access to everything.
No, that's right. I mean, there's certainly the marketing is important, but Ohio has been successful because we've also come to the table with ready to go sites and lucrative incentives and workforce. So companies like Amgen, who came here with an initial investment of $400 million, and just a few months ago announced an additional $900 million investment, has certainly put Ohio on the radar with some of these other companies that are looking for expansion opportunities or U.S. Destinations for their manufacturing. That pressure to continue to pull sites together that are attractive, to make sure these sites are within a life science cluster has been a good way to remain competitive. We've also learned that we need to continue to invest in the workforce. I think we've accommodated the need that our current clients have had, but in order to stay competitive, we knew we needed to continue to invest in training of biotechnicians in particular. So that has led to a really interesting partnership again with Jobs Ohio. It's a $30 million new biomanufacturing training facility that we, as the association, will help administer and build out over the next year and a half. So that will prove that not only can you meet your current talent need here, but we do have a strong pipeline of additional talent that will be ready to work in these sophisticated facilities in the years to come.
I've been in the workforce field for 20 years, and I can tell you how, like, I hear it all the time. Like, workforce is one of the pinnacle deciding factors that any company is choosing, and especially in this field where you have advanced manufacturing, highly technical skills. There's and it's it's not just one size fits all, right? You have to have training programs that allow the type of manufacturing that's happening. So workforce continues to be one of those critical kind of foundational elements for every ecosystem to attract really strong pharma partners. What's your philosophy? Like, what are some of the things you're doing, investing in, across that, workforce development, training, education, kind of, value chain there?
Yeah. I think for us, it's been a tad overwhelming in terms of what to really focus on. I've been in this role for 4 years. What I continue to be surprised about is how much work needs to be done to remind people that we have a robust life science industry already here in Ohio. For one reason or another, it just hasn't been in the face of our state legislator, other sort of traditional influencers in the state. So we've spent a lot of time, in essence, doing public awareness campaigns that the life sciences industry is here, that it's creating life-saving treatments, that it's sort of a critical piece of the future economy of Ohio.
And that's for job seekers too, right? Do you find like job seekers don't know that there's this tremendous, like, high living wage career path that's right down the street?
Correct. Yeah. And I think, really only in the last 3 to 5 years, we've been able to back up that reality where, I'd say, maybe a decade ago, we didn't necessarily have the density of opportunities that we have now. So, when somebody now comes here for an opportunity at Forge or Andelin or Sarepta, or, the real example of people came here for Amplify Bio and that didn't work out, those people were able to land in other life science organizations in the state. That wasn't a thing 3 to 5 years ago. So there's certainly less
important for that's important for executives too, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
Like we were years ago, we were, our kind of birth as a media company almost did come from one of the large pharmas in Maryland. Came to us and said, hey, we're trying to recruit executives out of Boston, and we need to communicate better that, hey, if it doesn't work out with us, like you just mentioned, that happens, right? Companies don't always survive, right? If it doesn't work out with us, there's an ecosystem here you and your family can be taken care of.
Yeah, between the biotech companies that we have here now and opportunities at our institutions, there's a lot of opportunity. And then again, even if something doesn't work out in Central Ohio, I just visited Abeona Therapeutics in Cleveland, which is where its headquarters is. Tremendous growth happening at Abeona. I think I mentioned on a LinkedIn post, they have grown from a 15,000 square foot office to now a 85,000 square foot, in essence, campus. They've got 170 people on site, 220 company wide. So there's examples of that type of growth really all over Ohio, and then again, particular in that Ohio Discovery Corridor route.
So how going back to workforce, you mentioned earlier, manufacturing is one of those areas you want to invest in, right? You've got the barbell kind of happening. So what are some of the programs? I mean, is it with community colleges? Is it with, like, again, is Jobs Ohio putting these like, are there, how are you taking people from like other industries or getting them into this?
Yeah, a couple of the initial things that we've done. So I should talk about sort of the emerging workforce as well. So we've made investments in some new programs. One that we're real proud of is called BioPathways. It's a teacher training program. So we're helping more K through 12 students in the state understand more about the industry, the types of opportunities that it can provide, types of companies that are doing work in the industry, just to make sure that our emerging workforce is thinking about the life sciences industry. For that imminent workforce, or incumbent reskilling and upskilling opportunities, people that want to pivot from an industry that may be waning, we've created a couple instances of biotechnology boot camps in partnership with our community colleges and trade schools. So these are 8 to 12 week programs, give you the basics of GMP manufacturing, and within that period, you're ready to go work for Amgen, making $25-30 an hour. So it's been a transformational experience for that piece of the workforce to get into. So we've seeded one program at Columbus State Community College. It's called the Ohio Life Sciences Biotech Boot Camp. They had an existing pharmaceutical manufacturing boot camp there, and then we created another instance of this at Butler Tech down in Southwest Ohio, where there's, the National Resilience has a big operation there, along with some other manufacturers. I think where, we're taking lessons from is North Carolina. I mean, they've been investing in biotech workforce for decades. They have a really disciplined sort of hub and spoke model. You sort of know what type of product you're going to get. There's a clear front door to access that workforce. That's ultimately what we want to build here in Ohio. So this biomanufacturing training center that we announced, along with some of these existing programs at our community colleges and trade schools, is sort of the base that we have to build into a bio work type program that exists in North Carolina.
Yeah, that's a good roadmap to follow. I mean, they have invested in that for a couple decades, and now you're seeing $11 billion of biomanufacturing investment coming into the state. So
yeah, thoughtful political leadership. I mean, they took their tobacco settlement money and invested it in essence directly into Biotech. Ohio took our money and invested it into its general revenue fund, and now it's gone. But so we need to play a little bit of catch up. But it's a lesson in the importance of political leaders who understand what type of opportunity this life-saving industry really can create for people, whether it's higher wages, opportunities to get into a career that are going to ultimately save people lives, create better health, etc. So we again spend a lot of time in our state house sharing stories about the impact that the industry has on communities. We're very interested and excited about the fact that we've got two gubernatorial candidates who are going to are ripe to be champions for this industry. Amy Acton on the Democrat side is a doctor. Vivek Ramaswamy on the Republican side is obviously a biotech entrepreneur. So, the idea is that they would hopefully see this industry as critical to Ohio's economic future, and we can talk to them about a transformational investment that could elevate Ohio even more. When I think about all the states that we compete with and that have been winning in this industry for several decades, at some point in that history, they've had a transformational investment led by, an elected official. Deval Patrick in Massachusetts. Even now, Governor Shapiro in Pennsylvania, $160 million innovation fund, 40 of which is going to biotech. Andy Bashir in Kentucky, $15 million for a wet lab incubator. So there's lots of examples of Texas, $3 billion for dementia research. So it's lots of examples around the country of states that are leading these transformational investments. And I think that's the opportunity that we have here with these two new faces for governor. That all said, again, shout out to Jobs Ohio, who has invested, I think, a little over 9 figures into different incentives for this industry over the last several years, and are now working with us to build out this training center. So we do have that consistent investment from Jobs Ohio, but we're excited about what a champion and a governor role could have to add further momentum to this industry.
Well, I mean, it sounds like you're setting the stage. So the stage is set. So the right leader comes in. It sounds like you got two good options. So the right leader comes in this next.
I should.
The table's set, right?
My board probably fire me if we don't secure this champion, especially if these two coming in. So hopefully it all. We're strategic enough about it where we can leverage this transformational investment.
The Pharma came out with a report. Every one biotech job has a 3.9 multiplier, right? So there's, every one job is actually 4 jobs basically, or 5 jobs. So I think there's a clear downstream impact. To your point, I think the states that are winning kind of understand that it does take, like we talked about in the beginning of the conversation, or a little bit, like there's these ecosystems are generational. They need to grow, right? We don't make drugs. Doesn't come out of a university and overnight and to the patient. So you do need a good coordination between the right established infrastructure, the right industry leadership, and leaders like yourself that can pull it all together. But the catalyst does come when the state can come in, and especially I think now. I mean, I'll say now more than ever when there's a lot of other turmoil happening with investment and infrastructure happening. The state's role is critical.
No, absolutely, and I think maybe the federal government may be signaling to states that they themselves need to step up and drive some of this just from an economic standpoint, and really a collective national security standpoint as well. But I think the other piece of this whole momentum building has been from I've always thought this industry was a net importer of talent to states, and we now have, because of whether it's Sarepta or Abeona or Atricure down in Cincinnati, these people are hiring people from sometimes the coast. These people may come here hesitantly, but they quickly turn into advocates and champions for what they're experiencing here. So they're going back now to their networks in Boston or San Diego or wherever, saying, "Hey, Ohio's been great. I can afford a house. I've got an easy commute. It's a good quality of life, a good cost of doing business here." That piece, that density of those types of advocates that we have now is higher than ever, and I think it's really adding to the momentum that we're experiencing as we continue to grow.
Yeah, I say that all the time, Eddie. You can't undervalue the importance of a strong community and that culture of community, right? That culture of people wanting to come together, reinvest, again, go back and tell your story, tell the Ohio story. Again, that culture of what you're, and that forms by showing up every day. That forms by, again, going to bat with the state on the things that your industry needs. It comes from, again, showing up at the workforce development programs, not just sending a low-level rep. I mean, that culture kind of is something that, but it lasts. And then when it does, you have what sounds like what you said, like people are traveling around and all they can talk about is, man, Ohio is great. They take care of us. They get.
Yeah, I think, no, Chris, you're right. We have really, sounds a little cliche, but this idea of Team Ohio, and it really is a team. I mean, everything from Jobs Ohio to the regional economic development groups to the local cities to us as an association. I mean, we all want to win, and we are aggressive with our incentives and our attraction pitches. We just launched something, again, borrowed it from Massachusetts, Mass Bio, but they created the Bio Ready program. We now have launched life science ready communities. So we have our communities around the state talking about how they can be attractive to the life science industry, inventorying the assets that they have that may be attractive to biotech, and we're helping promote that on a statewide level. So we have more people than ever wanting to win in this industry, and I think if you're someone who is considering Ohio or wanting to grow your business here, you'll find that you're going to have a lot of support if you do.
That's awesome. Getting the team rowing in the same direction is so critical. Well, Eddie, tell me, I'd love to hear kind of in closing few minutes of our conversation here, which I've really enjoyed, learning more about everything you're putting together in Ohio. What's the vision? Like, where are we in 5 years? If all this comes together, that the plans you're building and the teamwork and the corridor, What is it the vision for Ohio in the next rest of this decade?
Yeah, I think for us, it's maybe just for me, it's first and foremost, I'd like to see Ohio in a place where we're encountering less. I didn't know that was an Ohio type conversations at different conferences and things like that. So, for us, it's really about recognizing the great assets and capabilities that we have, knowing that people are thinking about Ohio when they're thinking about the life science industry. I want that to sort of be a one-to-one type of mentality. And maybe that's a little far-fetched, but again, when you go back to our core assets, these institutions that are world-renowned, there's no reason we shouldn't be one of the first spot biotech hubs in the state. So I think you'll see us continuing to market and promote our strengths. I think you'll see the three C's working a lot more closely together. You're going to see a lot of development in the 3 innovation districts and some density of biotech opportunities that haven't existed before. I think with our gubernatorial leadership, you'll see some continued transformational investments in the state that will solve for some of our workforce gaps and funding gaps as well. A lot more people talking about a more substantial life sciences fund in the state. I think you'll see these things come to fruition in the next 3 to 5 years.
It's an exciting time to be in Ohio.
I think it is. I'm paid to say that, but I truly believe it.
Well, hey, Eddie, I appreciate you representing Team Ohio today and coming to share the story. We would love to be a partner in helping to make sure other people are thinking Ohio, at least when they're in our circles and reading and engaging with what we do. Again, I talk to a lot of different ecosystems, and I love the strategy that I get to hear when people are really kind of working as a team and putting it all together. So again, I really appreciate you sharing the story today. And I'd like to open up to any of your peers that want to join in the new year, 2026. Love to continue to invite them on to tell some of what they're doing, whether it's Jobs Ohio or one of your other partners. So we'll keep that invitation open for you.
No, Chris, thanks a lot. Grateful for what you do to kind of drive attention and put a spotlight on good things happening really across the country in this industry. So thanks for that, and thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk a little bit more about Ohio today.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure. Well, I will. I hope your kids don't get too much candy. I hope it's just
they've had two nights in a row to get candy. So
kids are spoiled these days. Again, thanks to Eddie Pauline for joining us today. Please make sure, if you're not subscribe to BioBuzz. We do these at least twice a month. We have actually 2 episodes coming up next week. One will be talking about JP Morgan. We're talking to Jim from Qnova, who has a partnering forum session out there. And then we also have a call with Jeff Wren from AABB next week as well. So we got a busy week going into the last couple months of the year. So please make sure you subscribe. Eddie, it's been a pleasure. Again, happy Friday to you, and thank you for everything you do.
All right.